As a PC gamer, I'm no stranger to high refresh rate gaming experiences. Both of my screens on my desk offer high refresh rates, making my game smoother, and they allow me to just react a bit quicker to things that are happening. That experience is now starting to make its way over to smartphones in the mainstream. This is the OnePlus 7 Pro, and its highlight feature is a 90Hz refresh rate Fluid AMOLED 1440p display, and it's pretty killer. A big shout out to OnePlus for sending me the phone, and in this video we're going to take a bit of a closer look at how well this thing can handle games, and how much emphasis OnePlus has put on speed for this new phone. If you want to check out the OnePlus 7 Pro website, click the link at the top of the description. So then, the model of the OnePlus 7 Pro that I've got here is the 12GB of RAM, 256GB of storage model in Nebula Blue, which looks really nice, and that makes it the top model that you can currently get, and hands down, it's the fastest phone I've ever had the pleasure to use. It's got a Snapdragon 855 CPU under the hood, and the Adreno 640 GPU, making it right on the bleeding edge of smartphone horsepower at the moment. And that 12GB of RAM just gives you all the room and space you need to fly around menus. You can switch through apps at lightning pace, opening and closing windows just all over the place. It's like you've got absolutely no limit. Of course, the limit is 12GB, but it doesn't ever feel like you're being limited in any way. OnePlus's Oxygen OS that sits on top of Android was already a nice lightweight skin, but that extra RAM that you've got in the OnePlus 7 Pro just gives you even more headroom. And it's when you're flying around the OS that you actually notice the Fluid AMOLED display. Now, I've got the screen brightness up as far as it can go for the entirety of this video so you guys can get the best look, but the higher refresh rate here makes all of those animations within the OS just that much smoother. Coming from my OnePlus 6 that I've been using for about a year now, and that 60Hz display, which was still a great display I might add, this one here on the OnePlus 7 Pro makes it look extremely outdated. Just like stepping up your refresh rate on PC makes 60Hz look outdated. And if I'm being totally honest, I don't know if I can go back to using a 60Hz display on a phone anymore after using this one. I can absolutely tell the difference, and it's a better experience for the extra hertz refresh that you get. The screen is also HDR+ certified, which is great if you're big into watching content on your phone, and it's got some neat color accuracy options that you can mess around with as well, so you can get the colors just how you want them to look. Some people like warmer displays, some people like cooler displays, so if you're one of those people, there are lots of options that you can use to mess around. Oh, and the display itself is absolutely massive. It's a 6.67-inch display diagonal, which is great if you're using your phones for games and watching videos. But I know some people do try and stay away from larger display phones, so beware, it is a big screen, and because of that, it is a big phone. Oh, and one other thing, how could I forget? There is no notch here on the OnePlus 7 Pro. That 2018 meta for phones having notches, OnePlus has just blasted that away, and they've housed the front selfie camera in a pop-up mechanism at the top of the phone, taking it off the screen, and that gives you a 93% screen-to-body ratio on the front of the phone. The OnePlus 7 Pro on the front is just a giant screen, and it's a really nice screen as well. I don't think there's a phone out there right now that can directly compete with it. So that 90Hz display makes it a great phone for gaming, but of course, that's only one part of the equation. There are other things OnePlus has implemented that focus on gaming with the OnePlus 7 Pro. They've updated their gaming mode, and they've even added a totally new segment to it called Fanatic Mode. Now, the normal gaming mode has some nice features like disabling auto brightness of the screen, there's haptic feedback enhancements for games that support it, and you can ask it to answer your phone calls via the speaker if you want to, and that means you can keep playing the game whilst the call is answered for you. And then there's the Fanatic mode, and what is that all about? Well, it was developed alongside the Fnatic esports team, and it basically strips back even more than the standard gaming mode, and it puts the sole focus of the phone on the game that you're playing. It's going to block incoming calls and notifications, apart from really critical things like low battery and alarms you might have set. it will prioritize the signal of your primary SIM card to minimize interference, and it will disable the second SIM card entirely, and it optimizes the CPU, GPU, and RAM for the game that you're playing. It's just filtering out everything else, and the focus is on the game that you're playing. With games like PUBG and Fortnite, where sessions can run into the hours rather than the minutes, both the gaming and fanatic mode can come in really handy for just blocking out everything else and letting you play the game. I mentioned the haptic feedback just a minute ago. That's had a big update with the OnePlus 7 Pro as well. Previous phones from OnePlus never really did have great haptic feedback, and I've owned the OnePlus 2, 3, 3T, 5 and 6, so I've had some experience with those phones, and I do have to agree, the haptic feedback wasn't great. But with the OnePlus 7 Pro, they've kind of gone above and beyond. They've made sure that you're going to notice the new motor that they've put in the phone. Not only is it now much easier to notice things like an incoming call due to the extended vibrate function, but also in games when you're playing them. The vibrate feature gives you feedback through your fingers if you enable that, rather than solely relying on the sound through the speakers or through your headphones. It's quite a nice touch. And the speakers, whilst we're talking about audio, they're a good step up as well. Stereo speakers are included using the top speaker above the display and then the speaker on the bottom of the phone, with most of the low end coming from that bottom speaker. So if you cover that up, you do get quite a big volume reduction, but you can still clearly hear things from the top speaker. But also, the OnePlus 7 Pro has got Dolby Atmos support as well. You can switch between dynamic, film and music in the settings, and you can have that different setting for different audio outputs if you want, which is quite cool. So you could have your Bluetooth speaker on a different setting to the internal speakers or your headphones, depending on what you listen to. Overall then, having used the OnePlus 7 Pro for about 3 or 4 days now, and coming from the previous flagship, the OnePlus 6, I've got to say, this is a really impressive phone. It's quite a step up from OnePlus. It's built with premium materials. You've got the rounded edges of the display that makes it really easy to hold onto, and it just feels rock solid when you're holding it out in front of you. It is a little bit heavier than previous phones, but it's definitely now got that premium feel to it. But what's most interesting to me, however, is that OnePlus has created this brand new flagship phone, and the price starts at $649 here in the UK, which when you compare that to other flagship phones out there right now, you're saving about 2 to 250 quid right off the bat. And you can't really argue with that in 2019, where if you previously wanted a top-of-the-range flagship smartphone, you'd probably have to cough up 4 figures. With the OnePlus 7 Pro, you don't have to do that, and you get everything those other flagships can do. And in some departments, like the screen, the 90Hz refresh rate display, the OnePlus 7 Pro is currently doing things better. Thanks very much for watching today. If you want to learn more about the OnePlus 7 Pro, then click the link at the top of the description and that will take you over to the product pages. But until next time, my name is Westie and I'll catch you guys in the next video.